Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is Friday, February 28th, which means it is the last day of February. It is the last day of Veguary, and it is time for our final cooking demo for our Veguary live series. So, all month long, we've been sharing plant-based recipes that you can make for $10 or less in our plant-based on a budget series. And today, I'm going to be showing you how to make some crispy sweet potato and lentil tacos for $10. So I'm Jessica, and I'm joined today by Koborski, who is providing American Sign Language interpretation. And we are able to do this year in partnership with Kelly's Kitchen, which is a nonprofit organization committed to food justice and disability access. And so we've been able to partner to not only have American Sign Language during our live demos this February, but also to provide accessible versions of our written recipes on the website. So if you visit the Afro-Vegan Society blog post, you will be able to see that there's a link to download the accessible version, which is compatible with e-readers on your computer, so you can get the instructions audibly and just in a more detailed format. So thank you, Kelly's Kitchen. Thank you, Koborski. And thank you to everyone who is tuning in live or will be watching the replay. Okay, so if you're tuning in, please, in the chat, let us know where you are watching from. We want to give you a shout out. I'll give you some verbal shout outs while we're getting the recipe started, but also we'll be putting you up on the screen to show you some love, just to share our thanks for you watching with us today. All right, so we've got Boyd here from Maryland, and Be Like Boyd, and share where you're watching from today. Okay, so this recipe is super duper simple, and it has a few ingredients, but they make a big impact. They're filling, they're hearty, they're satisfying, and they're flavorful. So thank you for tuning in, Flo from New York. Okay, so let's go over the ingredients that you'll need to make these crispy sweet potato and lentil tacos. So the first thing you need is some corn tortillas. So I got this 25-ounce package of corn tortillas for around $2. So you get, looks like 30 tortillas for about $2. So these are a great value for making all kinds of recipes. The next main ingredient that I got was 1 pound of green lentils, and these were under $2 as well. And so green lentils are wonderful for soups and stews, but you could also use them to replace meat in a lot of vegan recipes. Oftentimes people are making tacos with like ground meat, but lentils, while they don't taste like ground meat, they're an excellent swap because they're high in fiber, they're high in protein, and they're really nutrient rich. The next main ingredient that we need for these sweet potato and lentil tacos is sweet potatoes. So I was able to get this 10-ounce bag of diced frozen sweet potato for under $2 again. And this is great because you can steam it in the bag in the microwave, or you can heat it up on the stove. I had another bag that I just steamed on the stove just until they were fork tender. And so it's super convenient and super affordable. And then once again, another very nutrient dense and flavorful plant-based ingredient. The next ingredient that we will be using as a topping is avocado. So I just have one avocado here. I actually have one that's already sliced up, but this is going to add some nice creamy texture, some healthy fats to balance out all the flavors. I'm also going to be using salsa as a topping today. So very straightforward. This is a mild salsa. You could get spicy, medium, whatever you prefer, but it just has peppers and onions and tomatoes, so it adds some tang and some spice to our tacos when it's time to serve them. And then to get in some greens, we have some baby spinach that's been roughly chopped. So this is about 5 ounces. And you know that fresh spinach cooks down a lot when you cook it typically. So it looks like quite a bit, but it's going to add just some nice flecks of green in our tacos and add some more nutrition. So once again, this recipe is super duper simple. So we can get started by assembling our taco filling. So in order to do so, we have a large mixing bowl here, and we're going to add in our lentils. So this is a 1/2 pound of those dried lentils that I cooked on the stove. I covered them in water and boiled them, brought them to a boil and cooked them in total for 20 minutes until they were tender. You can also use canned, but buying dry and cooking it yourself is more affordable. Usually you get more bang for your buck. All right, so we have our lentils in the bowl. Next, we're going in with our diced steamed sweet potato. Dump all that in there. Okay, so here's how we're looking. Next, we're going to go in with our chopped baby spinach. You could also use frozen spinach or frozen kale if you prefer that. You just want to make sure that it's thawed out before you prepare the filling. Okay, so we've got our main ingredients for our filling in, but now it's time to incorporate flavor, and the flavor is coming from common spices that you'll be able to find in your pantry. So first up, we're going in with some ground cumin. Next, we're adding in a teaspoon of onion powder and a teaspoon of garlic powder. Next up, we're going in with a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You can adjust the salt to your preference, but I find that this is enough because we're also adding in 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. If you're gluten-free, you can use tamari sauce. If you are soy-free, you can use coconut aminos and you'll get a nice flavor balance. But the soy sauce, that 1 tablespoon, goes a long way with incorporating some really nice savory flavors into this taco filling. And then finally, we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of chili powder. And that's just going to add some kick and some more aromatic spices. Now, you can make this even simpler, and if you can find a vegan-friendly taco seasoning mix, you can also use that instead. But now all we have to do is just mix everything together and make sure those seasonings get coated on all of the ingredients and everything is evenly mixed together. So this ingredient is delicious with this preparation, but there are some simple swaps you can make depending on what you might have on hand or what your preferences are. So like I mentioned, you can use frozen or fresh spinach or kale instead of the baby spinach here. You can also use any kind of bean in place of your lentils, like kidney beans, black beans, cannellini beans, chickpeas. They would all be great. And then in addition to the sweet potatoes, or to replace them, you could use diced pumpkin, bell pepper, cauliflower would be delicious. Mushrooms would add some great texture and flavor. So you can customize this however you like, but this is how I was able to put these tacos together for just $10. So everything is looking pretty well mixed here, but I am going to take a few tablespoons of water and just pour that in just to help everything bind together a little bit, because we don't want it falling apart too much when we're assembling our tacos on the skillet. You could also use vegetable broth to add in a little bit of extra flavor. So you want to gently mix it. You might want to well, you don't have to be too gentle with it. You know, like you're not going to make this mushy. Everything has a good texture still, but you do want a little bit of binding together to happen. Okay, and this smells amazing already. Just a few simple ingredients, and good smell is a great indicator of good flavor. All right, so this is what everything looks like mixed together. This is our taco filling. So I'm going to move this to the side, and we're going to get started with actually assembling and cooking our tacos. So the recipe title says that these are crispy tacos, but I'm using soft corn tortillas. So I do need to lightly pan fry these to get that crisp on there. So I have my cooking eye here, and I have it set to about medium high just because it's electric. If I were cooking on gas, I'd probably cook around medium low depending on the size of the flame. But yeah, I'm going to heat this up to medium high, and then I'm going to add about a tablespoon of oil to my skillet. You could add more, but I do want to keep this on the light side and not make it too greasy. So I'm adding my oil in and just evenly coating our pan here. Okay. We're just letting that warm up. Okay. And my pan was already sitting at low while I was preparing everything else, so I'm not starting from a completely cold pan. But basically what we're going to do is take our corn tortillas and let them get coated on one side in the oil, because you know that corn tortillas can be a little bit rigid when they're cold. And so if I was to try to fold this in half in its current state, it would break. So we needed to heat up a little bit in the oil that we just put in the pan before we put in our filling so that we can fold them over and get a nice crisp on both sides. So let's see. All right, we've got that going. Oh, actually, I have a little bit of water here. Let's see. I'm just going to use a little bit of water to see how hot our oil is. And it's just starting to sizzle, so we're ready to put our tortillas in. So I'm just taking my hand. The pan is not too hot yet, but if you don't feel comfortable doing this, you can use a spatula or a fork just to move it around. But like I said, this pan isn't that hot yet. So I'm just going to use my hand here and make sure that these tortillas get coated with the oil and just allow them to start to warm up. And the first one I put in is already starting to get flexible, so that's a great sign. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right, so our first tortilla, we're going to make space. Once we fold these in half, they're going to fit in this pan perfectly. So I'm going to take about 2 tablespoons of the filling and put it on one side of our first tortilla. And then I'm just going to flatten that down. And then I'm going to use my fork and lift it over and just press it down to make it stay. Let me stand up to do this. So I'm taking my spatula and just pressing that down just to secure the fold of that taco. Okay. We're just going to gently scoop that, move our next tortilla up. I'm going to turn my heat down from medium high down to medium, just because we don't want these tortillas to cook too fast. And we're going to continue. So I'm going to take another hefty scoop, about 2 tablespoons of this filling, and put it on one side. And I'm going to use my fork to lift the other side over. Just hold it a few seconds to secure that fold. Okay, here we go. All right, last 2. Once again, nice hefty spoonful of the filling. That's about 2 tablespoons worth. Put it on one side. Use our fork to fold it over, and then use our skillet to secure the fold. Okay. Just a few seconds. And then our final tortilla. Make sure that's nice and pliable. And then we're going to do our final scoop of this filling. Let's go into our taco. Let me get a little bit more sweet potato in there. It's nice to get mouthfuls of sweet potato and lentils in every bite. All right. Let's see. All right. Nice fold and secure it. And it's just that simple. Now, once again, when it comes to preparing these tacos, you have other options. First of all, you don't have to use this much oil. If you think this is too much oil, you can use a cooking oil spray and just put a thin layer of that oil into the pan. All you really need is just a bit to help those shells get pliable, and they will crisp up very nice. Another way you could do this is to pre-steam the tortillas to get them pliable, and then assemble them in a similar way. And you want to spray a baking sheet with a layer of oil, and you can bake these in the oven. So you spray them both sides with the cooking oil, and then you can cook them in the oven at 400 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes to get them crispy on both sides. And that's a nice way you can just kind of walk away from the recipe, and it'll get cooked nice and crisp in the oven. So our first taco is ready to flip. So I'm just using my fork and my spatula to gently flip it over. And we've got some beautiful golden brown color showing up on the other side. This is looking amazing. All right. Our next taco is flipped. We've got number 3 looking golden and delicious. And then, let's see, is our final taco ready? All right. All right, so the goal here is simply to get a nice golden crisp on the tacos and help to have the filling warm through. The sweet potatoes and lentils are already cooked, and we just want the spinach to wilt. So it doesn't have to cook a super long time. You're really just cooking this for about 2 to 4 minutes on each side. But I want to show you what they're looking like so far. Can you see that golden brown crisp on those DIY taco shells we just made? So yeah, we're just going to let this go for about another minute, and then it'll be time to plate and taste. So not only are these tacos easy to make for $10, but they're also really fast. It's a really simple recipe. The ingredients come together pretty quickly. The spices and seasonings are things that most people will usually have in their pantry. But it's also a very flexible recipe, so you can make whatever customizations or adjustments that you like for your palate and for what you have on hand to keep it very budget friendly. Okay. And someone said this would be great as quesadillas. I agree. You could use some nice vegan cheese. You could even make it like an enchilada and make these and put some enchilada sauce or tomato sauce and bake them off with some cheese in the oven. That would be really tasty too. All right. So I'm going to move this filling out of the way and start to make some space because it's pretty much time to plate here. Okay. Pull my plate over. Get my toppings right here ready to go. Let's see. All right. And then we're just going to check the other side. Let's make sure. So the filling does have a bit of a loose texture. So if you lose a bit, don't worry. Usually, honestly, when I cook handheld stuff like burgers or sandwiches or tacos, it starts off handheld, but I always have a fork on hand to get whatever I missed. And I usually serve something like this with like a salad on the side. So as I'm eating the tacos, like filling might be falling out. It's just becoming toppings for my salad. So then I just eat the topping on top of the salad with like the bonus ingredients from whatever I'm having. Okay. All right, so I'm going to turn the heat off because these are smelling really good. My nose is telling me that they're done. My eyes are telling me that they're done. Cooking is definitely about just paying attention, kind of knowing what you're going for visually, tasting as you go. I've tested this recipe about 4 times already, so I didn't taste as I go, but best believe when I was making the recipe and making sure I had the seasoning levels right, I was tasting as I go. So it's all about tasting as you go, and then you can make sure your outcome is what you want it to be. All right, so we've got our tacos coming out. I'm just going to stack them up on this plate. Okay. All right. Move this to the side, our plate out of the way. And here we have it, our crispy lentil and sweet potato tacos with spinach. Savory, a little bit of kick, a little bit of spice, customizable, and so good. These are really hot, so I'm kind of afraid to burn my lips when I do this. So when I eat these, I like to take some avocado. This is just a ripe avocado that I sliced. And slide that one in to the taco. Let's see. Okay. Oh, this is hot. This is hot, you guys. This is too hot. I'm just gonna taste it like this. I don't want to burn my mouth and make a mess everywhere. But the flavors on this are so good. Savory, like that 1 tablespoon of soy sauce did an amazing job at imparting savory flavors into this. The chili powder's in there. It's not too much. The garlic, the onion, the cumin, they're all just very nicely balanced. So this is a great dish that you can incorporate into your weeknight meals, for a weekend, for a potluck, whatever the occasion might be. But it's also the perfect recipe for you to customize for your liking. And personally, I would love to see if any of you try this recipe or make any additions or changes to let us know what it looks like. How do you customize this recipe for yourself? Actually, someone who was on the cooking demo last week make Danny's loaded vegan fries and sent their picture to the Afro-Vegan Society email inbox, afrovegansociety@gmail.com. And her picture looked so good. It looked amazing. So yeah, if you're experimenting with any recipes that we share, feel free to email us and let us know what they look like. We want to see what you're doing in the kitchen. Okay, so I'm going to have a great late lunch, but I'm going to stop eating for now. And I'm going to take time to thank you all for being here, participating in Veguary 2025, for joining us for today's live cooking demo. Or like I said, once again, if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for taking out the time and being open to find new ways to incorporate healthy plant-based foods into your diet and try new things. Afro-Vegan Society is committed to making vegan living accessible to everyone, which is why we focus on $10 recipes for Veguary this year, because, you know, a lot of people might have the perception that vegan eating is expensive, but it doesn't have to be. And we want to show you that it doesn't have to be, and it also can be simple and delicious as well. So thank you for being here with us. In your email, if you registered for Veguary, you will see that we've been asking for your feedback for the Veguary feedback survey. So please take just a few minutes to answer the survey. Let us know about you, how you learned about Veguary, and how your experience was. And also be on the lookout, because we are launching a really big survey next month. Over the next few months, we want to learn about the state of Black people and plant-based eating, or plant-based eating in the Black community. So We want to hear from as many people as we can, and we'll be sending out an email with that information on Wednesday. Yeah, I think that is all. And I just once again say have a great afternoon. Enjoy your weekend, and we will be back very soon with more simple, delicious, and affordable vegan recipes for you to try and share. So we will see you next time, everybody. Bye.